tunnel. Where does virtual learning fit in going forward? For more, now we are joined by Representative Kathy Manning. She's a Democrat representing North Carolina's 6th Congressional District. I want to thank you so much for coming on the show today.
My pleasure.
So there are so many things for folks that they had to adjust to during this pandemic, but for so many families, one of the biggest obstacles was obviously figuring out this virtual learning and how to handle it. I would imagine, as somebody who stepped into this role in Congress, that this has to be one of the things you've heard about so much from your constituents.
I hear about it all the time, but also I sit on the Education and Labor Committee, and I wanted to serve on that committee because education is so important. It's important to me, it's important to my constituents, and of course our district has 2 large K through 12 school systems, and we've got 13 colleges and community colleges in our district. So we've got lots of students and families that have struggled with online learning during this pandemic, and it's been a challenge for students, for parents, and for teachers, of course.
As part of the 100-day effort by President Biden, his administration wanted to make sure that he got kids back into the classroom. And in many cases, that did happen throughout the fall, throughout the spring. Also in the American Jobs Plans, he has plans to increase broadband infrastructure. This has really put a highlight on that issue.
So when we got here, our first priority was to pass the American Rescue Plan so that we could get vaccines out, so that and get money out to families so they wouldn't be thrown out of their homes, and get money to schools so they could reopen safely. And we have been able to get an enormous amount of money to the state. North Carolina will get $5.7 billion that the General Assembly will distribute. And of course, Governor Cooper just released his recommendations, which include, I believe, $1.2 billion for broadband, plus a lot of money for colleges, community colleges, and workforce development. We also, through that plan, were able to get money directly to the municipalities, to the counties, and to the school systems.
You started to answer this question, but as kids are going to return to the school in the fall for the 21-22 school year, there's going to be so many kids who have fallen behind in this amount of time. We know that that's true. At the national level, what kind of discussions are you having about how you can help, the folks back home?
We're having discussions about what kinds of funding can go to the to the school systems and the municipalities and the counties, so that at the local level, people can develop the kinds of programs to address learning loss, whether it's online programs over the summer or intensive tutoring programs, whatever the case may be, or school year going longer, whatever the case may be. We want to make sure that those who understand what's going on at the local level have the funding they need to address the learning loss.
And really, when we talk about education, there's obviously so much that comes from the federal level, but a lot of it does fall on the state to figure out how they're going to do education in their own state.
We've had hearings to address, where we've heard from experts, to address all of these issues, to address the disparity based on access to internet, to address the learning loss that we've had with kids who struggle during normal times. We had a hearing the other day on how to help kids who are in foster homes or kids who are homeless, who've had a particularly difficult time keeping up with their schoolwork during this tough time. We've also had discussions about how we can help teachers who've dealt with a wide variety of issues during COVID and the helping their kids learn online. So we've had hearings where we've learned from experts on all of these topics, because our goal is to make sure that all of our students can catch up and get where they need to be, and then continue to learn productively in school going forward.
Representative Kathy Manning, I want to thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
And leaders on the state level are also working to figure out virtual learning's place going forward. We hear from the person in charge of North Carolina's public schools and the state law